Today's episode begins down a very lonely and desolate road out in the middle of the Mojave Desert in California. Today we're going to be seeking out the mines of the Mojave. All right, today is going to be kind of a loose plan, so hopefully your tour guide does okay. We definitively know where I want to end up for our grand finale, so I know that, and I have a candidate for a starting point. But I'm going to be kind of weaving in and around the Mojave National Preserve, seeking out some of the remnants of the old mining industries that once were here. The main attraction, I think, is going to be something that many would consider the most photogenic remnant from a bygone era. So stick around and you'll find out what that is. But it's going to be a little bit of, I don't know if we're going to have off-roading or not, dirt roads, paved, we'll find out. Turning left on the Morning Star Road. If I can find a place to pull over.
Continue on Morning Star Mine Road for 4 miles.
You know, if I can find a place to pull over, I think I want to audit. Oh, there's a place right here, in fact. I want to audit the Google Map lady's advice, and maybe we'll survey the surroundings and show you where we're at and what we're dealing with today, too. So let's get outside and talk for a moment. There's no other place like the Mojave Desert for just roads that you can literally stand on for endless amounts of time before you have to move. We will also find Joshua trees, which are probably the famous resident here. They're very particular about where they like to live, certain elevation range, but you always run into them, so I'm sure we will hopefully see some today. This makes sense. I'm sure we will hopefully see. Sure and hopefully. Okay, so I was just kind of double checking. I've got a paper map of the Mojave National Preserve. I've been buying a lot of paper maps that I keep in my truck now to be safe. And I've got Google Maps that's plotted me a route to what is supposed to be called the Esperanza Mine, which I can't find on the paper map, nor can I find it on Onyx Off-Road's maps, but it's taking me somewhere definitive in the area of other mines that I know about, including the Morning Star Mine, which is an area where I think there's several mines very close to each other. So what I think we're going to do is I want to say I Googled and I saw the Esperanza Mine. There's a couple old cabins there or something, so that's what I'm expecting. But this is going to be a really loose exploration with probably plans changing in the middle of looking for these things. It's kind of just part of the adventure, I would say. The more I travel out here in the Mojave, though, and explore, I found random mines all over the place. There's many that show up on maps, and there's many that are still yet to show up on maps. So you come across some really interesting stuff out here in this desert. Also, I've only really done a little bit of research on one of the mines, and there's really not that much to find on some of these. So really it's just, we're gonna be surmising a lot today and just generally exploring, and it's like scouting, off-roading and scouting. All right, we're starting to see other familiars, yucca, and maybe even a Joshua tree. So I think that's evidence that we started climbing an elevation, because that's when you start to see those guys. Randomly just one Joshua tree, which is kind of curious. How did you end up here, my friend? All right, so I'm somewhere right up here. We're supposed to turn
right, then. Turn right.
I believe if we would go straight, that would take us to another mine, probably the Allured Mine, or we're supposed to be able to go straight somewhere here. I think you go left and then turn right immediately.
Turn right.
But she wants me to turn right, so I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, because so far this isn't too bad. Look at the views though, like you can definitely see the elevation change, like where we came from. It's quite spectacular with the Joshua trees. I think if I can pull over far enough, get out here and take a look at this with you, this is a worthy spot for a photo. And here we are, overlooking that valley that we came from, and you didn't really even realize how much elevation change there was driving up that road. But look at that. Yeah, we were literally down and not that long ago at the base, the furthest point down there. There's a wide variety of plants up here too. You've got yucca, looks like some kind of cholla, and certainly Joshua trees. Even little like barrel kind of cactus looking things. And lots of creosote. I mean, I thought this view was going to be okay, but I'm really enjoying it right now. I just think because of the changing lighting in front of our eyes because of these big fluffy clouds like that. And every time I turn around, I swear, I see new clouds that weren't there. They gather fast. And for that reason, let's not dilly-dally. Let's actually get back in the car and get this party going. And we shouldn't have that far to go. She's saying 1.2 miles at this point to get to this Esperanza mine, or old mining camp, or whatever it is. Really been lucking out though with these scenic places when I've gone to do this. And just look at all the Joshua trees like clinging to the side of that hill over there. Our destination. Oh, I think I actually see what I saw online. There's actually the old buildings out here. Old like miner cabins.
Light right.
Alright, I don't think I need you anymore now, lady. Let's turn you off. I found where I want to go. So this up here is what I've read is known as the Esperanza mine, or what's left of it anyway. It's kind of cool. It looks like someone put picnic tables up here. We are on public land here, so this is not private property or anything, and those are some real awesome relics. Woohoo! The first view of what I believe is the Esperanza mine, or the Esperanza mining camp. Not sure if these are modern or caverns you can actually camp in. Sometimes they have stuff like that in places like this, but this setting blows my mind. You know, I wasn't expecting these kind of views. You couldn't really tell from the pictures that you were nestled in between these mountains here like this. To me, the main attraction are things like this that you find in these places, these really old cabins. You know, somebody lived out here and worked out here. This was their job. Look, here's a side view of that structure. Yeah, I'm gonna guess like 1920s. What is your guys' guess? Or does someone know? There's probably information you could find on the internet. I didn't do a lot of really good research, but all I do know is it's very aesthetically pleasing, especially when you have little wildflowers growing in front of it and stuff like that. Looks like there might even be like a cellar, which I am not gonna go in. Forget about that. Do want to be awfully careful walking around back here too. You know why that is. I just wanted to come peek at whatever this is over here. See if this is part of the mining operation or an actual mine, or what accounts for this. Maybe there was a mill here at one point. It seems like a multi-tiered thing. Or is that a portal? I think it is. I think that is a mine right there. There's an old ore cart track there. You can at least peer inside and see a couple things. The air is really cold. It's like a refrigerator in here. Fresh air blowing out. Can't really see what that is from here. There's definitely light coming out of different areas in there. So I'm sure there's more ways in, but yeah, they've barred this one up, so there's no getting in there, which is fine because I don't think I would have anyway. It's very cool though. You don't oftentimes get to go in there, and based on how cold the air is coming out of that, I'd have to imagine there's deep mines. And it's just so beautiful, you know, up against this hill with all these beautiful Joshua trees and more waste rock up there. So evidence of more mining. And this would probably be like an old garage and workshop probably for their equipment, trucks, I imagine. Who knows? But definitely another really old structure. Take a look at some of the handiwork up in here. There's like even like an old light or something maybe, or a place to put a candle, I don't know. But the back wall's interesting. It's like at an angle and all like metal. So not really too much wood on this one. It's like almost metal all around with just some wooden supports and beams. There's an outhouse too. I mean, come on, we have to see that. Interesting. It doesn't look as old as the rest of the stuff on the outside. It's not rusted or anything, but I'd say that was probably a legit outhouse. Now probably a rat's nest. So far, not too shabby for the first stop on our episode, I'd say. You can kind of see on the window there's bottles. They look like old ones too in cans. Maybe it's like a little museum on the inside. So what do you say? You guys want to go in? I can't hear you. Do you want to go in? I'm just kidding. That's just lame. Let's go in. Interesting little choice here. You always find little macabre things when you visit areas like this. Yeah, this is the inside here, and there's a book that people sign. I didn't bring a pen. Might have one in my car, but I don't know, I'm pretty bad about that. I don't oftentimes sign stuff, but a map. And it's interesting, it's pink. But you do see like older bottles of stuff up there, so you gotta wonder, is that from the older times? And an advertisement for a rock concert, it looks like. And they had, I guess they had running water up here, so that's interesting. There's a sink for sure, and a couple interesting bottles here. So one of them's like, there's a few modern ones here, but that's neat. I don't know if people stay in these overnight. I probably would not, especially when I see this. Been reading about that more and more. So, deadly disease transmitted by rodents. So we can get it by becoming infected with deer mice or their urine, droppings, or saliva. So let's stay away from all of those things. Okay, let's continue. I think this is the other side actually, so they're connected. That's cool. I was like, oh, we're not going to be able to go in both sides, but this is actually pretty nice in here. I like what someone's done with the place. There's definitely smells musty in here, and there's some more fun stuff if you're into that. But yeah, this is quite cool. You definitely can tell it's from an older time because I have to bend down. I'm too tall. Some neat stuff here I see too, other than ammunition. You have this like spike for a train, I would say. It's very heavy. Probably a relic from, maybe that's from the ore carts tracks, because that's kind of small. You'd think the spikes would be bigger for a big railroad or something, but I bet you that's what that is. There's still a place to hang out. They had like a stove here or a furnace. Yeah, you can feel it's very flimsy wood, so it's definitely an older place. So I don't know, yeah, you can actually see old carpet too. See there in the corner, there's like an old piece of carpet. So maybe at one time this was a cozy place. Now it's pretty run down and creepy. So I personally don't think I would spend the night here or stay, but Jerry Garcia clearly did. So yeah, I think based on our time for our itinerary today, that's about as good as we're gonna get here at the Esperanza mine. But when you put everything all together, that's quite the views and quite the history. I'm very impressed and very glad that I decided to chance it with the Google lady again And this time she didn't screw me over at all. All right, if you are kind of looking at this like, hey man, you're not done exploring everything, you're right. I could have explored the heck out of this area a lot more. But the way I look at it is I'm giving you guys opportunities to come back and tell me what I missed. I think seeing this from the car is the appropriate way to enjoy the ride back down. Look at the view. I didn't even notice that coming up. I wasn't paying attention to the backgrounds. But you can really see how high up we've come in elevation to get to that mine. I like the drama the clouds make though, you know, and the different lightings you can see. There's the valley below that's completely in the sun right now, and then we feel like it's a cloudy day up here in Joshua Tree Town, as we're gonna call this. I think the magic number today is 3. There are 3 mines I want to check out. So the first was the Esperanza mine, the next will be the Morning Star mine, and then the last will be the Evening Star mine, which is what I'm hoping to be the jewel of the 3, the jewel of the Mojave Desert. Dude, I'm gonna call this the Yellow Brick Road. I mean, this is just all yellow. It's like gold back here, and you got Joshua trees and these grasshoppers that I'm kicking up as I drive. I'm gonna do something a little out of character and something we will not do often, but right here, smack dab in the middle of the video, in case you're new and you're watching this and you're having a good time, this is exactly the kind of stuff we do a lot of on the channel. So seeking out old abandoned places like this in the middle of nowhere. So subscribe if you like that kind of stuff, because I got much more that you can go even check out in our back catalog. So I'm gonna make some educated guesses, and I'm gonna stress guesses. I read a factoid somewhere, I don't remember where it was, that when I was reading about the Gold Dome mine, where we were at that processing mill, that they processed ore for the Morning Star mine. When I see that pile of waste rock, or what I assume is waste rock, showing that they mined a ton out of the earth here, it makes me think that, you know, that there's some validity to that, because I bet you this is probably a mine, seeing that big pile, that was a more modern, meaning more modern than the early 1900s or even the 1800s. So, and that, because Gold Dome was a modern processing facility, so it makes me think maybe this thing ran into the 1980s or something like that. I could totally be wrong, but if I'm piecing those facts together, that kind of makes sense. Man, like, if I'm just right about these being man-made piles of waste, like here, like, and it's on both sides, and we passed some that I don't think I even got on film, and it was big enough to even drive up the way it's graded. You could see that it's probably a way for trucks to go up and down to dump more on top. This is a big operation, I must say. Wow. Is this the end of the world, or is this a pit mine? I think we actually just found a pit mine, and I'm gonna drive into it if I'm not careful. The edge is like right here. Is that what this is? Oh my God, now I see why. Yeah, I think we found it, folks. I think we found it. All right, we climbed an elevation again, just like we did when we went to the Esperanza. This is a much different vibe. Still have some beautiful Joshua Tree forest out here, but there's some ugliness too. You know, these piles, I mean, this is absolutely man-made stuff. Even here, I think right in front of us, you can see there's roads. I mean, this is a pit mine. Kind of a small one, I guess. I mean, not saying small is not really the best choice of words, but compared to some other ones I've seen, this is kind of small. We'll try to get up the road. It goes up and around there. I don't even know if we can drive the truck up there. I don't know if I'm brave enough to do that. I see like places where the sides collapsed in. So I had no expectations of what I'd find or knew much about this particular mine at all. It's like a freaking meteor crater here. Reminds me of Yuba Hebe crater at Death Valley. I don't want to have another redo of that one. Like going down and having to walk up loose gravel is no fun. Holy, oh my God. Whoa, I thought we were at the bottom. We are not. I found a quarry here, basically. A lake. I don't have time, unfortunately, to drive down or go explore that, but what I am gonna at least do is drive up the side here. It's stable for sure, and maybe get a different vantage point of this. But wow, look at this. The Morning Star Mine. So seeing something like this also gives more validity to that this thing was a contemporary of the Gold Dome Mill, you know, because this is more industrial strength mining here. And they probably just chomped these rocks that they just mined in droves here, and probably just drove it by truck down to the mill. And you'd almost have to see that video too to know what I'm saying. Man, is the sun hot right now. As extreme as it is, I mean, there's a strange beauty to seeing all the layers of geology and rocks and the different colors of time. So that's cool. They're, you know, having the water down there, maybe it's helpful to animals. That'd be nice, but I would have to imagine it's probably very toxic water, toxic stuff that these mines do. Another reason why I don't want to spend too much time in these places. But just look at this. I don't know if the scale's coming through to you guys, but it is nuts. All right, let's go up, drive up a little bit further and get a looking down on it. See, I knew what I was talking about. I had confidence. Even this morning, I called it. And I just, with each minute it grows. You can truly say that. It was kind of localized over there, and now it's spreading out this way. I'm getting a very cool breeze now, so maybe there's a change in air pressure here. There's a really interesting hole, like a donut, right there. But the clouds are truly gathering right on top of me, so I don't want to be out here in a downpour. Not next to this thing. But it sure makes for some pretty views, doesn't it? Looking off this direction. For that, it's worth it. And for the cool breeze I'm feeling at the moment. I believe to get to the Evening Star Mine, even though I need to consult my maps, I probably need to go back down to the valley and circle around this whole thing somehow. I think that one of the popular ways to get in is closed right now. But it's going to take me right through the heart of this if I'm not miscalculating. So it's either going to be adventurous and fun or a bad idea. But I don't think it's the type of monsoon season stuff that's going to be like a 1,000-year storm. There's some lightning. All right, I'm going in the car. All right, I'm not going to hang out here too anymore just because storms are rolling in. And I gotta finish this video. I wanna make sure I complete it. And I think it'll be kind of interesting anyway to drive through the storm, because we have to. I love looking at maps, and I think I'm gonna take the safer play and go out to the paved roads to go around the storm. Just so I don't get stuck in a downpour out on some of these roads. I actually, believe it or not, I actually do find like that pit mine very interesting, and I know I did a blow through of it. It's pretty in its own weird way, but it's also a scar. I'm enjoying the drives down out of these mines though. It's kind of the same thing as last time, just look at the view. So it's basically the end of the mountain range here that was blocking our way is this. And one of these peaks off to the right is Kessler Peak. I don't know if it's any of the ones in our view. I want to say the end of the Ivanpah Mountains, and we want to get around to the other side. And now it just got dark all of a sudden. I want to say we're approaching what was somewhere in this vicinity, like the most dense part of the Joshua Tree forests. And there was a big fire, the Sema Dome fire. And I see a lot of burnt Joshua trees. That's why it's coming to my mind. So is this part of that fire onto the right? The left side was saved, it appears. So this road was a barrier. And it probably protected that side. This must have been that fire, the Sema Dome fire. Because I read that it was just, this was supposed to be the place to go to see the densest section of Joshua trees in the park. And I can see that. Now that I'm driving through it, it's just not what you would want to see, At least you get a little section here with some beautiful Joshua trees. I think we've done our Joshua trees justice today on this little road trip, and some really pretty, jagged looking rocks too. It's a really pretty section, actually. Hopefully I pinned the map correctly. If not, I'm still enjoying the drive. This is an interesting thing to do. To drive through the burnt Joshua trees. Man, it's an extensive fire. Now I understand the impact when you're here driving through it, and you know what's on the other side of the mountains too. I mean, it's bad. It was a bad one. Now there's a few more mines in this area that I'm seeing. The Gear Dolomite Quarry, so another quarry. I think I've had my fill of quarries for the day. The New Era Mine. Standard Mine number 1. There's lots. Probably many that aren't even on the map. All right, I found our destination, and it is a beaut in person, much more beautiful than I thought. You see that head frame over there? That's the Evening Star. One of the what they consider the most photogenic piece of mining history here in the Mojave Desert. And if I scan the landscape, I see one old building. It looks like a stone building. Lots of little tailings. And over here, a mine shaft. I don't know how good this road is if we continue, but my plan is it looks like the road. If I look at it, it goes straight and loops back around over towards that. The final thing we want to see, but there's a very lush green Joshua tree patch right here that's absolutely beautiful and not burnt. So I'm really kind of pleased at least that's saved. I wonder if they had some special protection for that, because that's all wood. That thing would go up in flames, no problem. So I'm sure they came very dangerously close to losing that piece of history at that time. All right, we'll see what this is. Sometimes these things are not even worth looking at, I find. Sometimes you can't really see much. This one has a barricade over it, it looks like. Love the Joshua tree right next to it too. These trees are growing out of the rock. Makes me wonder how old this is, if the trees are growing out of this stuff, if they grew after this was here. Oh, this is a cool one actually. It's a shaft and it goes down pretty far, it looks like. Can you guys see anything down there? Camera can probably see better than I at this point. It's an old ladder. I wouldn't trust it. No thanks. Yeah, I think it just ends right there. I see a beer can now. My eyes are adjusting already. So I don't know if it just goes down a little ways and then back up, but that's pretty cool regardless. I love this kind of stuff. There's another one over here too that we can check out. This one has a horizontal door. I think I've seen on the internet maybe this one. This just might be a prospector's tunnel and not go back too far. So that's the kind of thing I would do. But this is cool. You can can see a lot of people have been in here. I would want my headlamp if I'm gonna poke around or peek in there. That's something for the sake of time I'm gonna have to leave left unexplored. I'm sure you can find plenty of YouTube videos though. Lots of people have filmed over here, so I know there's people that have been in there. That looks cool though. That's something I'd like to see. And there's one that doesn't go in far. That's probably it. And by no means am I trying to encourage you to go inside of old mines. I'm trying to set a good example. I want to though, I want to so badly. I'm gonna just take a quick risk and be quick about this. But this is the final point of interest here, and there's lots of cool things I see right in the area. More things to explore, like that, see that stone building off in the hill there? That's pretty cool. But this, the Evening Star Mines head frame, is what we want to see. You can totally smell the wood. I'm telling you, that old wood, I smell it from right over here. The wind's blowing right at me. I'm downwind of that. It smells wonderful. Now, before you get too excited, this isn't something from the 1800s. It is old. It is remarkable. It is unique. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. But this was the head frame, and I believe an attached ore crusher on top that served a dual purpose to haul. I see like a pit right there. I wonder if they hauled the stuff right up, dumped it, crushed it, and it kind of flowed down, maybe into trucks or vehicles is my best guess, because we're talking about the 1930s, I believe, when this was probably built, something like that. Maybe even the 1940s. I don't know if I have all my dates right, but I did do a little bit more reading about this place than the rest of them, so at least I have some things I can share. Interestingly, the metal, the primary metal they got here was not gold, but tin, apparently. There's a rich source of tin ore here, and this thing operated for a while. Clearly, it was doing well enough to build some contraption like this. I don't know what I think about that today. I'm gonna err on the side of safety. That looks a little worn, and I don't know what I would do up there anyway. Other than gawk, I guess, like I am here. This is a beautiful head frame. I really like it because it's wood, and wooden structures just do not stand the test of time. All you usually have is like that building over there that I pointed out, like stone structures, and that's it. But this thing's here for now. How long will it stay though? Let's see if we can see down this. That looks plugged up. I would have to imagine it went down a lot further than that back in the day. I can totally see the bottom, or maybe it didn't go down far and it just connected with more tunnels or something. Any mining experts, I'd be interested to know, but maybe they did plug it up for safety's sake. But my theory or expectation of how this worked was this thing probably connected with other tunnels and things below here. This is maybe a raise, or I don't know whatever the term is for the one that went down, and it just was, I guess they had things on tracks that hauled buckets of things up to the top. Probably dumped it into that, it's like that game of Mousetrap almost. There's like a big wooden bucket up there at the top that we can't see really great from here, and then from there I guess it just kind of made its way down to this spot where I would guess the crushed ore would have come down out of these chutes into the back of a truck, and the old mining road would have taken them out of here, maybe to have the ore processed at the Gold Dome, as far as I know. Probably not, because this is a little bit of an older mine, so I don't know where they did the processing. They did some of it here, clearly, but I don't know if they had other processing that happened after. This is one of the things I wanted to check out. So there's more mine shafts over here. There's an old structure at one point next to it. Maybe a powerhouse or something, who knows. All right, this one's walled off though, at least, so I don't have a choice. Let's see if we can peer down this. It probably, oh, this one's the deepest one we've seen today, I would say. I don't know if you guys for sure I can tell you can't see the bottom because I cannot. And I can't see it through the camera either. That's a deep hole. Oh, that kept going. I would say undeniably that's a deep one. I heard the rock bounce multiple times. Maybe you did too. Or you just come to this side where there's a big gaping hole. And then you listen. There's like old wood and more lizards. See those? I think that's a horned lizard. Oh, there's ore carts or ore cart tracks. Smells fresh. Oh, Jesus Christ! It was a bat. Oh, that there, I think is the. Is that not the way that went up to the chute? I think it is. That goes straight up to the top where we were looking down at or trying to look down at. So I said, oh, I could see the bottom. Well, this is the bottom. That's a really cool view, isn't it? So that makes me think that, I don't know what they were doing. Did they, was lifted up from there? Because that goes down a lot further, and then have tracks to just basically have it come right down here and up to there for processing and hauling away. I assume that's how that worked. I really admire the ingenuity here too. It's just a very different style that I've seen. I'm sure it's not the only one in existence, but yeah, just I believe, like I said, they had an ore crusher on the top, and then they just, so it's like they did part of their processing here basically. I'm not sure what this was here. It's pretty small actually now that we're up on it. Very small. I might just guess a miner's cabin. That would be my best guess. One man room. Or maybe a place to store explosives would be another guess. Or some other kind of storage. It's like concrete all the way around too. The wooden door frame still exists. Looks like some concrete down here. Lots of concrete used to build whatever this is. So what do you guys think? Now I'm thinking maybe not a miner's cabin, or who, if it was, they certainly didn't like windows. There's a little slit there. I guess is storage of some sort, maybe for, like I said, explosives. I've seen things like that in the past. So comment down below if you have an idea or no. All right, friends. My hat's off to you if you stayed around this long to enjoy the pinnacle moment with me of this episode, for at least the pinnacle moment for me. But unfortunately, it's that time of the episode where we have to part ways until next week, when we will of course be back with yet another video. So if you want more and you haven't seen our back catalog, go check that out. You got plenty more like this video. Subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you next time. Bye.